Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Wahar Rakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to you brothers out there that's listening and learning and supporting the ministry, and to the sisters as well. And I want to do a video mainly focusing on this article from Zero Hedge. And it's going to bring out a lot of information which we could sift through the scriptures, all right, because the scriptures is the foundation of all things. Going into the major prophecy in these last days of the mark of the beast, and also enlightening the chief wicked ones, all right, the heads of the house of Esau, all right, and because they're the ones that's really pushing this agenda. They're the ones that's in control of the Edomite train. They're the drivers, the head. All right. So the title of the article is From Earthquake Sensing to Sex Simulation, Microchip Implanted Biohacking Has Gone Wild. All right. So more and more as technology is increasing and becoming ubiquitous, and the material world is becoming more digitized or being controlled by the digital realm. I'll give you an example. Before time in the UK, you would have your paper tax disc when you pay for your tax, which is all a form of control by the state. The fact that you have to get this tax disc for road tax and your driver's license. The state has many entanglements in your life, many ways in which it controls various parts in your life, and it's only increasing. The more they pass legislations and laws regarding this and regarding that, it's the more the state is getting control over your life, which is the purpose, the end goal, complete control. But the point is, a lot of this stuff was paper-based in times past. Now these things are being digitized. So now in the UK, you no longer rely to have. You don't even get given a tax disc anymore. You pay your tax online, all right, digitally, and it digitally stores and records the fact that you and your car, which is linked to you digitally, all right, it's all recorded in the digital space, has tax. So when the police, which is an arm of the state, stop your vehicle, all they do is search the digital database for your car registration, and they can see whether you have tax on your car or not. And that's happening more and more throughout the entire system of life. Everything is becoming digitized. All right? For a reason. It's becoming digitized, and it's also becoming connected and responsive, as in what they call smart. So you got smart TV, smart watches, smart homes. And what the smart basically means is it's checking data, and it can then send that data to be processed. And that data can be processed, and an outcome can be brought from that, and then an action can be made. All right? We'll get a bit further into that, but that's basically what's happening. Now it says the human augmentation market could increase tenfold to $2.3 billion in 7 years. Biohacking advocates say 100,000 people around the world have already been transformed. And that's 100,000 people in the public sector, I would say. Now you got a lot of people who are not in the public sector, certain people in the private sector who are doing things that they don't want nobody to know about, or certain people in the military that have the chip already too. All right. It says 100,000 people around the world have already been transformed into human cyborgs, which means this is transhumanism, which means they have microchip implants in their bodies to open doors, store passwords, hold personal data, or even for simulation of sex. So the idea of the microchip opens up a lot of connections with various things, to data storage, passwords, to getting access to certain things, even to buying and transactions. Okay, because we're living in a digital world where all these things happen in a digital space, and it's all being done on purpose. All right, so before we read on, because ultimately it's going to become mandatory by the state for you to have the microchip in order for you to access the systems, for you to access the ability to drive or the ability to get food for you and your family, you know, to travel, to pass checkpoints. Just like today you need a passport to get on the plane and travel, or you need ID to buy alcohol. You need to produce your ID to, well, in the end, these paper things, it's all going to be consolidated into the chip by rule of the state. It's not going to be voluntary anymore. It's not going to be something that people just do because they might have an interest in it, and they're doing it for convenience in one area of their life. There's going to come a point where to access everything within the system, even to be deemed to be just a citizen, because whether or not you're the citizen of a country is ultimately down to the state, right? So if the state decides that you are no longer a citizen unless you have your identification stored on a microchip, then guess what? You're going to have to do that, because citizenship is based on the state and the rules of the state. You understand? That's why the state determines what you need to have and what you need to show in order to have your citizenship, what you need to do. All right. Now let's get straight to the point, and I'll get some more scriptures, man. Revelations 13. Now we go into the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. It prophesies of this mark of the mark of the beast. Okay. Now this is Revelations 13, and we're going to start from 16. And the he that is talking about here represents the beast, which is the so-called white man's power structure. All these European governments, these states, they all form the beast, as well as America. The American government, all these Edomite governments, they form the beast. And all these other governments around the world are under the control or under the influence of the beast. So they're pretty much all doing the same things. All right. It says, and he causeth all. This is what the beast is going to do. He's going to cause all. All represents what? All citizens. Everyone. Yeah, both small and great. What does small represent? Small represents your average everyday person. What they know as Joe Bloggs. We call them Joe Bloggs over here. You might know him as Average Joe. That's your dude that's basically a nobody in society. Like me. I'm a nobody in this man's society. You know, I ain't no celebrity. I'm not a great person in this society. Everybody don't know my name and want to know who I am. I'm just a guy that I walk up and down the street. 99.99999% of people I walk past have no idea who I am. But then you get great people in the society. That's your people who are famous or have some form of office which makes them famous for one reason or another. An example would be someone like Donald Trump. All right, he ain't gonna be able to walk down the street. Everyone's gonna recognize him because he's a great person in the society. He's not a small person. He has influence. All right. So whether they be small or great, you're gonna have to take this chip. There's gonna come a time when the state is gonna demand that you take this chip. It says rich or poor, so it doesn't matter whether you are affluent or whether you ain't got nothing, basically. So you could be Floyd Mayweather, all right, so-called rich, you know, housewives of Orange County, whatever the hell. You living up in the Hamptons, it don't matter, man. You living up in Ascot, hell, you know, you living in Monaco, it doesn't matter. The state is gonna require you to have this chip, and whether you be poor, free or bond. Free represents your citizen, which is at leisure to operate outside of prison. All right, that's what it represents by being free. You're free within the confines of the state. All right, you here watching this video and you're not in prison, you're free, meaning you can get up, you can go outside. You have permission by the state to get up, go outside. If you have money, you can pay to get on the bus, and you can travel freely within the confines of the plantation. Now, if you want to leave the plantation, then you got to go through the proper procedure that the state have agreed. So you got to produce your passport. If you got to get a visa, you got to, you know, all that stuff. Right? So that's your free. Your bond represents your prisoners. Prisoners are bond. They're bondmen. Right? They're in prison. They're in chains. Their so-called freedoms and liberties have been greatly reduced. I shouldn't need to explain to you the various ways that their liberties are reduced. To receive a mark, now the word there for mark in the Greek is charagma, which means something inserted or cut into. And that's how you receive the implantable microchip, which I'm going to show you examples of that. A mark in their right hand, because the majority of people are going to receive the mark in their right hand. Remember, this is a vision he was seeing. The majority of people on this earth are right-handed and use their right hand in operation. Most devices, most anything that you operate in this world is right-handed. Okay, I'll give an example. If you use the underground down here in the UK, 922. I'll come back to that. See if I can get a video of someone using an Oyster card. Okay.
Right now I'm at a tube station.
Now, if you look here, even on this image here, just look at this image here where it says, "What are the pink oyster readers for?" Which, anyway, that's another subject. The image which explains the information, the what's it called, the digital screen which explains the dot matrix which explains what's there is on the left, and to tap your oyster is on the right. So naturally, it's designed for right-handed people. It's the same thing if you look at the image here with the machines that you card and top them up at. If you look at the machine, the screen is on the top left and the yellow reader is on the right. So you see the person with the Oyster card in their left hand, they have to put their hand across their body if they want to use it. It's more natural to use your right hand. All right, and it works the same way when you're actually using the gates. That's why I wanted to see if I can get an image for you real quick of the actual gates. All right, this is a perfect example, and this is what I mean. So the most of the people are going to receive the mark in their right hand, but some people are going to receive the mark in their left hand. Some people are going to receive it in their forehead. At the end of the day, you see that woman there? She's holding a bag in her right hand, obviously, and she's using the oyster in her left hand, right? And she's tapped on the gate. But ergonomically, that's not the best way. It's designed, the gate is the reason why the Oyster card is to tap. It's on the right hand side of your body is because it's designed to suit the majority of the population. Right? Where people are putting their tickets. You see? Again, look what side the reader is on. The reader is on the right hand side. Okay? That's just how the world is. The world is designed around right-handed actions. Don't get mad at me if you're left-handed. It's not my fault. I'm just stating the facts. So that's why when the prophet saw the vision, he saw a lot of people with the mark in their right hands and he put it there. But when you go into the next chapter, it says if they take the mark in their hands. Because it doesn't matter. Some people are going to take it in their left hand. Some people have it in their left hand. That doesn't mean you're not going to be destroyed. Because the whole issue isn't where you receive the mark, but rather that you receive the mark in the first place. Okay? So it says, and to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? That's the brain chip. And that no man might buy or sell. All right? Now, who would have the ultimate control over whether you can buy or sell in this society? That is the job of the state. The state controls commerce, man. The state controls whether you can, but say you want to sell alcohol, the state controls that. Let's say you want to buy alcohol. Again, the state controls that. The state and their legislative power. Because if you're under 18 in the UK, why can't you buy alcohol from a vendor? Because the state has a law which dictates that you can't buy that. And if the vendor sells it, boom, the vendor's going to be in trouble with who? The state. They're not going to be in trouble with the person they sold it to. They're going to be in trouble with the state because the state controls these things. So it's all going to come down ultimately through the mandate of the state. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. See, they're turning commerce over into a system which is completely digital, which means it can be controlled from a central source. You understand? So once they have everybody chipped, right, and they move the system over to where all the transactions, they can basically put it on a chip, whether you have permission to buy this or to buy that, or whether you can access this funds or that funds. It can all be done digitally. So they can control everything you do through the digital world, through what they call the smart grid. All right, just like if you get an Oyster card, right? They have the powers to cancel your Oyster card. So even though you got the product on there that you can travel, you cancel your Oyster card, and then if you try and go and use that Oyster card, it won't work. Or they have the power through the back end to remove a product. So let's say you got zones 1 to 6 on your Oyster card. Technically, the Oyster company can actually reduce your card to a 1 to 4. So when you try and exit a station or enter a station in zone 6 or 5, you won't be able to. Why? Because your card is no longer authorized with that product or authorized to do so. This is the power of the digital realm. You can control things from wherever you are because you have access to it. It's connected. It's a smart grid. So that's the reasoning behind this devil and why he wants to introduce this mark. It gives him complete control over you and what you do, what you can and can't do. All right. It says that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. So that's why you see this in fact, I want to get that previous, can I go back? I want to get that previous one where we was on just now.
Same game multi from Paddy Power let you combine multiple bets from one match into one bet. Paddy Power, enough of the nonsense.
I mean, when I say...
So I'm going to play this clip, and he's basically going to detail that the smart grid, which is being built around us through the Internet of Things, the ubiquity of the Internet, the ubiquity of RFID readers and RFID chips, because RFID chips are pretty much in everything now. The ubiquity of Wi-Fi, all this different stuff, 4G, RG, it's all connecting everything into the Internet of Things, and so that if you could control it then more easily. All right, and they have the technology to do that.
At least you can empathize with what I mean, because you've had this experience yourself of how bad it actually makes you feel.
Yeah, it's terrible. So what do you think are some of the big picture items that people, where we would be better off if we could wake up and see it, versus so many of the micro activities now that seem to be going on to confuse people or distract people?
Well, so much of what's going on at the moment is a distraction. The big thing at the moment that's right in everybody's faces is this smart grid and the whole 5G network. Like we're talking about with the pedophilia and some of the dark stuff, it's not something you can use to wake people up because, again, they just don't want to look there. It's too confrontational for them. But with the 5G and the smart grid, I mean, this is something that's in everybody's face and they can see it. And we've been saying to take action against this, like in Hawaii with the Empower movement and the liability notices they've been putting in. All the sorts of things we can do to slow this down. Anything we can do to slow down the rollout of 5G, we need to do. it's a very dangerous situation we're facing with 5G. It's basically a digital prison that's coming online that can also be used as an active denial system if they want to. So they can target individuals with 5G, they can disable individuals with 5G. And what we're heading into basically is a smart prison. It's a prison whereby everything will become digital, like all transactions will become digital. And if you think outside the box, they'll introduce some sort of a social credit system the way they've done in China.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. That's the main point that he's saying there. It's a prison, and they can control it. They can track you and trace you, and everything you do, they will have to authorize, because to access anything, any resource, any service, you're gonna have to access it through your chip. And I mean anything, even if it comes to just drinking water out of a tap. All these things are becoming digitized. That's why they got something called smart meters in your house, smart fridges. So the house actually it monitors and quantifies the amount of water that you're using by the second. So it's going to come to a point when, in order for you to get water out your own tap, or to turn your kettle on, you're going to have to use your chip. And you're going to have to be authorized to do that transaction, to do that action. That's what it's all about. And they can control it because it's all based upon logarithms and computer systems. So they don't have to actually have a person there checking you. What are you doing? No, because they can program your chip to say, look, you're only allowed 5 liters of water a day. And because the system is digitized and the way you receive the water is digitized, how are you going to get around that? Because you're going to need your chip to turn the tap on. So once you've gone past your certain amount of water, when you try and use your chip to turn it, there ain't going to be no tap that you turn no more. It's not going to be manual. If you notice, everything is becoming digitized. So to access it, there's no manual function. It's permission based. It's digitized. So when you want to go and use that now, and you tap your hand on the kettle to get it to boil, or you tap your hand on the tap, and it don't bring it says, oh, you're not authorized to get no more water. What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. You're under the control of that system. And that's pretty much the brainchild of the so-called white man, and that's what he wants to usher in through great chaos. All right? That new world order. Okay? And that mark of the beast is key to his enterprise, to what he's trying to do. All right? And by he, I'm talking about the elites of Esau, of Edom, which is who these people are. Let's get Job. No, 5. This is Job 5:12. He says, he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. Now the word device represents the plans. Right? These this whole system that we're living in, that's being built around us, is a plan that was made before the technology to even do it was even known of. You see, the people got to understand that Esau had an idea that the Most High put in his head of what he wanted to do, and he actually went and did the research to develop the technologies to achieve his plan, to receive his success. That's why the scripture tells you that he have fulfilled a diligent search. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They fulfill a diligent search. What do you think all these research companies and these universities that's researching all these technologies, who the hell do you think funds all that? Where do you think the funding for all those things, whether it be private or public, who do you think is driving all this research? Who's funding it? Who's controlling what is being researched and what isn't being researched? When you see these private companies rolling out a certain technology, MasterCard, Visa, Amazon, Google, when you see them rolling out certain technologies, do you think that's an accident? Do you think that's just a natural progression? No, it goes back to the plans that they already had aforetime. So the scripture says he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. The crafty represents what? The serpent. Who is that? Esau, Edom, beginning with their elites, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Because even though they're going to attempt to fulfill this mark of the beast on all peoples and establish a new world order, they're not going to be able to establish it on all people, because the elect are not going to receive the mark, and they're not going to achieve their new world order, because Yahweh Shai is going to return and put an end to them and bring them down from their high place. Okay, so let's go back to this article. All right, so that's why what we're looking for is these elites. They're gonna bring chaos, which is how they work. They bring chaos, and through that chaos, the solution to the chaos is gonna be the chip. One of the solutions to the coming chaos is, you know what, man? For security reasons, for economic reasons, for administrative reasons, and all the reasons in the world, you know what, man? All the citizens are gonna have to be chipped, and that's what's coming. A government mandate. Let's see if we can get the understanding of that term. Right. So there you go. A command or authorization to act in particular way on an issue given by the electorate to its representative. So they're trying to make it all soft, but the mandate is basically the government have the authority. They have the authority to force you to do what they want. It's a mandate. They have that mandate. That's what the government does. But they make it look like it's the electoral that controls the government, but it's not. It's not the electoral. It's the elites. They control the heads of governments. They manipulate and control. All right? See how I used to try rosy up the thing. Right, I want to get back to this article. I might have to do that in another video. And right, it says the human, actually we already read that. Patrick Kramer, the chief executive officer of Digiwell, a Hamburg startup turning people into cyborgs. Which, look, man, trust me, this dude's probably juiced in. He's a Freemason and all that business there. Look, you gotta understand, man, that Esau don't leave a lot of shit up to chance, man. All right, these some things seem like, oh, it's just a startup and it just came up out of nowhere. No. It's like when you watch the news and you see some woman coming on there, who's some activist somewhere talking about if a man says hello to you on the train, that's sexual harassment. Do you honestly believe that's what women think about on their everyday life, and it's a big issue? Because I've never met a woman in my life that ever brought it up to me as an issue. That's a fucking Tavistock Institute agent that's coming on the TV to push an agenda. You'll have to understand that a lot of these people that's pushing certain agendas, it's not a real thing that average people even think or care about. They make these people think and care about it by making it an issue, and they make it appear that a lot of people are behind it. And through the group mind, when people think that it's what the majority of the people are with, they automatically jump with it. It's the sheep mindset, the group mind. They're really good at it. They're really good at making something appear like this is what the majority of the people agree with. And then so what happens is becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that the majority of people believe in it, because they think the majority of people believe in it. So they don't want to go against the majority, so they join in with it. It's all like this transgender shit. Most people don't. Most people think that is stupid, but they won't say it out loud. They'll join in with it because it appears to them that the majority is with it, so they're not going to say nothing. It's ridiculous, man. But anyway, so you got to know that a lot of the shit that we see is orchestrated, man. Kramer said he had implanted about 2,000 microchips in the past 18 months and even told Bloomberg that he has 3 chips in his hand. So this dude's leading by example. One to open his office door, another to store health data, and the last enables him to share contact information. DigiWell is one of a handful of biohacking and human augmentation companies in Europe and estimates that there are about 100,000 cyborgs worldwide. The question isn't do you have a microchip, Kramer says. It's more like how many we've entered mainstream. And this is not by accident. Like I said, they're getting the public ready for the idea of being chipped. They're going to normalize it, then they're going to mandate it. Advisory firm Gartner Inc. identified do-it-yourself biohacking as an emerging technology trend. So like I said, you got people out there that are just going to jump on it of their own free will and think it's a fucking game. But the majority of the people ain't going to do it like that. The majority of people are going to receive it by mandate. Because they don't need it right now. You know what I'm saying? Most people are comfortable just using their contactless bank cards. A lot of people don't even like fucking needles, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that they're going to have the pressure put on them. And the pressure is coming. That's called the hour of temptation. Others include artificial intelligence, automation, and blockchain with the potential to severely disrupt businesses heading into 2020. Yeah, these technologies, blockchain, automation, artificial intelligence, all these things are integral to the digital smart grid that they're developing to control the people. They need all these things. That's why these things are being pushed and are at the forefront of what they call progress, because it's what they need for their agenda. Another research firm, because if it was against their agenda, you'd think AI and that would be, come on, they will finish that off. Another research from OG Analysis predicts the human augmentation market, which includes bionic limbs and computer brains, could grow more computer brains. So it says it's going to be in your forehead or in your hands. Could grow more than tenfold in 2.3 billion. We're only at the beginning of this trend, says Oliver Bendel, a professor of the University of Applied Science and Arts, Northwestern Switzerland, who specializes in machine ethics. A Spanish dancer named Moonribs told Bloomberg she has a microchip in her arm connected to seismic sensors, which is triggered by earthquakes. She uses the technology in a performance art piece called Waiting for Earthquakes. Say, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Neil Harbison, a colorblind artist from Ireland, has sensors in his head that lets him hear colors. And lastly, if these cyborgs are not weird enough, Rich Lee from Utah developed a cyborg sex toy he calls the Lovetron 9000, a vibrating device to be implanted in the pelvis. These Edomites are freaks. Lee gave a speech at Body Hacks, a conference in Austin, earlier this year that brought together national and international speakers on wearable and implantable tech, brain-computer interfaces, prosthetic tech, gene therapy, bioethics, and latest breaking research in the field. And like I said, all this breaking research is being led and spearheaded by the elites because they're the ones funding it. All right. Friedman Ebel, an activist with Digital Courage, a German data privacy and internet rights group, told Bloomberg that biohacking raises many questions, particularly about data protection and cybersecurity, as every tech gadget risks being hacked. Ebel said the hackers could turn implants into cyber weapons with the potential to send malicious links to others. You can switch off and put away an infected smartphone, but you can't do that with an implant. And that's why they're going to bring in AI to basically do away with that, because no hacker can defeat an AI. You know, you can't type fast enough. So that's problem reaction solution right there. They already got it ready. They're going to have these major AIs they're going to roll out, and they're going to say we're going to let the AI tackle cybersecurity. Come on, man. It is what it is. All right, so that's the article when they bring it out. It's here in the atmosphere, and all that's left now is pretty much they got the technology they need. All they need now is a crisis to warrant the government mandate. All right, and it can come through anything. Like I said, any crisis, any major crisis, for security reasons, for reasons of administration, so you can get your food stamps or whatever it is. They just say, look, you got to get the chip. This is the new system. If you want to get food, if you want to do this, look, this is how it's going to have to be. And people are going to accept it, the wicked, because at the end of the day, man, the state is God, and whatever the state goes, they're going to do whatever it takes to save their lives. All right? They're going to respect that power. All right? Let's get Revelations 14. All right? Because it all comes down to the worship of the beast. See, Esau's putting himself in a God status. He's putting himself in a status where he's going to say the earth is his and the fullness thereof. And if you want to partake in the earth, you have to worship him. But our thing is, nah, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And if we want to partake in the things of the earth, we're going to worship him. All right? And the choice is going to have to be made. This is Revelations 14. Because when Esau's trying to quantify and digitize and control everything on the earth at all times, that's trying to be the Most High. The Most High does that already. The scripture says the Most High, even the hairs on our heads are counted. The Lord is the one that has everything numbered and quantified and in control. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. He provides food for the birds. He provides for everyone and everything on the planet at all times and every time. Esau, through his technology, is trying to so-called take control of that. So the earth could worship him as God. Meaning, the scriptures say the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Esau wants to be that Lord that giveth and taketh away. He's a sick man. But he's a sick man, man. And he's got lofty dreams. This is Revelations 14 and 9. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, right? Because that's the main thing, the brain chip or the chip in your hand, right? Now it says worship the beast and his image. Now what does it mean to worship the beast? I already told you that the beast represents the state, right? The word worship there is proskuneo, right? Which meaning to kiss like a dog licking his master's hand. All right? It means to use as homage shown to men and beings of superior rank. So they're going to bow down to the state as the state being God. Whatever the state say, they'll do. I'll take the chip and we'll do whatever the state says so that we can receive our water and our bread. And in a time of a crisis, people are already in that spirit. We're FEMA app. Let all hell break loose. A lot of these people that say they worship God, look, man, they gon' whatever the white man say to do to get some of his rations, they gonna do. Because that's who they really believe in. They believe in the white man's ability to provide for them over that of the Most High. They don't believe in the miracles of the Lord. They don't believe in that. They don't believe the Lord fed the multitude with a couple loaves of bread. They don't believe in that. They believe in Esau and his warehouses and his robots and all that shit. All right, that's what these people do. But if you receive that mark, if you take the mark of the beast from Esau thinking that's going to save your life or preserve you in this world, guess what? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So you're going to be destroyed. Point blank, period. And the pressure is going to be on. It tells you that in, Revelations 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, all right, which is this gospel, because you suffer in this gospel, man, in waiting. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, meaning the Lord is going to strengthen our minds from and allow us to resist the temptation to bow down to this devil, you know, which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right. And it's going to happen. Listen, if all hell breaks loose, okay, and they start saying this person's a terrorist, that person's a terrorist, you know, you're going to get shot, killed, and if there ain't no food in the stores, And Esau's got all the food in these warehouses, and he's like, okay, you want to get some of this food? You want to prove you're not a terrorist? Come take this chip and we'll give you what you need. Look, man, a lot of people, man, they will kill to get that chip. They will kill because they're gonna see that as their only way out, their way of salvation. The Esau will be their savior. Esau will be their desire, not the Most High, not Yahweh Shai. And that's just the facts. And we gotta pray that we're preserved from that spirit, that we keep faith in Yahweh Hashem Shai's ability to provide, even in death, rather than believing in Esau, which is the man of the flesh, who can't even deliver himself. Okay. I wanted to show a little clip. This is example. I know the brother Hasten is coming, man. The brother from Hasten is coming. He's always showing clips. I got a few clips here, and it just shows you in Heroes. So I'm gonna play these 2 clips because they put it in a lot of programs, man. Crises happen, and they start chipping people for one reason or the other, whether it's for security or administration, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. All right, the next 9/11. The next 9/11, a lot of things are going to change. That means it's going to have to be spectacular.
Hey, Shalom, Akim. All praises unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and double honors unto the apostles of GreatMillStone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and truth. And basically, this is going to be a clip from the program Heroes, which, you know, basically the so-called evils or supermen and superwomen that are among the people really represents the Israelites, because we're the only people that are going to become super. As it's written, the scripture says, in the twinkling of an eye we shall be changed, and we ain't going to evolve. Basically, the Most High is going to make a superman and superwoman, man. But you know Esau kind of know that, so you know we're trying to put it out there. But I'm going to show you Esau pushing that chip. So this is one of them evils which he could teleport, and he's got to register himself, so he's getting all his biometrics taken.
Now, if you in the UK, if you have a passport, we already have electronic passports, e-passports, which contain our biometrics. When you go through the airport now with these e-passports, you pretty much scan the passport on the reader. Now it scans the information that's stored on the chip inside the passport, which stores your facial recognition and all this kind of stuff. And then you have to look into a camera, and the camera scans you to make sure you are who you are. Then it lets you go. Now the next step is to basically put all that information on a chip, and then the chip won't just have your identification information; it will have all the other authorizations you have or don't have. The permissions of the state.
And they're taking his blood.
Wait, what is that? Tracking device with satellite uplink. High in the sky, so we always know where you are. Used to be the hand. So we put it here. Didn't want to nick an artery. You have an allowed radius. Breach it. Alarm's triggered. Response time is less than 10 minutes. No response. You don't want to find out.
Yep. See it there? And like I said, if you notice, every time they put the chip now out there in the public, they always get put in the left arm. Hey, because that prophecy was getting to them. Hey, but the prophecy says in the hands. So any hand, anywhere you put the chip, you're gonna be destroyed. But you see how Esau trying to be slick, but you ain't slick enough, son. Okay.
All right, and then I got another clip that in the same Heroes program.
Apostles and elders of GreatMillStone. Right, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praise unto Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and truth. And this is a clip from Heroes Reborn Season 1, Episode 12. And basically, this whole program is an allegory for the New World Order. You got a secretive company who knows that there's a calamity coming, which is going to cause a great depopulation on the earth, which they want it to happen. And basically, they're preparing a new world for the survivors who they choose to inhabit in the future, where they're basically in complete control and everyone's chipped. You know, that's what's going down in this program, man. It's crazy, you know. And they're showing they're showing that martial law, chipping people for security reasons and all that. Now they're about to show that the only way you can get the wristwatch, which is going to allow you to be transported to the future in their so-called utopia that they've got in the future, the New World Order, is if you get chipped. And they're going to show you that right here with this guy. He's trying to infiltrate. And basically, to infiltrate, he had to get chipped. He ended up being on the list for whatever reason, and he had to get chipped, man, and he was surprised. Okay, so you know, if that happened to you in real life, that's your ass, man. But hey, let's check the clip out.
Welcome to Gateway Pioneers. Please proceed to the nearest gate station. The next available representative will verify your credentials. Begin the registration process.
You can imagine it's gonna be the same situation if whole hell breaks loose and the food and everything breaks down and all that. They're gonna, look, if you want to come get that FEMA shit, it's exactly what you're gonna have to do.
Sir, over here, please. What's your name?
Name's
Thank you, Mr. Kingsala. You'll need to register in order to get your watch. That's your ID chip. Welcome to Gateway.
You know, so I mean, what more can we say? You know, the prophecy's there. It's happening. It's just a matter of when it's gonna be made mandatory. You know, the prophecy's there, the technology is there, the mark exists, people are already receiving it. It's just a matter of when it's gonna be made mandatory, and that's what we're waiting for. But we're warning you in advance that it's going to be made mandatory so that when it happens, you know, if you say you love Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai and you seek after the salvation which is in Yahweh Shai, you know that, hey, you're going to have to choose ye that day what God you will serve.
Pleased to welcome you to part 2.
Let me finish on that. Like what Joshua said. Choose you that day. Choose you this day who you will serve, man. All right. Joshua 24:15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So you're going to have to make a choice. Whether you serve Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you love him, and you're going to seek to him and his salvation, or you're going to, you know, worship Esau and bow down to the state and take the chip. And that's going to be a real question. That's going to be, you will rule on this. Every single one of us are going to have to rule on that. Hey, some of you people are going to want to take the chip and you ain't going to be able to. Because you ain't going to be able to get where you need to get chipped. You're going to die before you get there. You're going to get killed in a race for us and all that stuff. Hey, some people ain't going to be able to get, they're going to want to get the chip and can't even get it. Starve before that shit happens, you know. But a lot of you are going, like I said, you're going to fight tooth and nail to get to that chipping center to get that chip so you can be familiarized with the state. All right, you can incorporated, and that's what it is. But you're gonna be destroyed. All right, now we already see it. We already see it, man. Because at the end of the day, The majority of our people, ultimately, the God they worship is the so-called white man and his power over the sword. They worship him. They believe in him for everything. They believe in him for salvation. They've been under this devil for so long. They believe this man is God. They believe that he is the way, the truth, and the life. They're just hoping that he loved them. You know what I'm saying? They believe he's the so-called white man's God, man. It's crazy. All right. So if that, I'm going to say shalom.